Quansah and Konsa. Still looking at that pair?
Yeah, two players of interest to Arsenal in this transfer window. We know William Saliba is missing right now. Yes, Arsenal have a number of defensive options, but there's injuries there with Saliba out injured, Timber's out missing for the next few weeks as well. We know Arsenal do maintain an interest. It's been a long-standing interest this summer in Ezri Konsa, but we know there's a significant gap in valuation between what Arsenal are willing to pay, which we think is around £30 million, and what Aston Villa want for him, which is around £60 million, bearing in mind some of the senior figures that have left that club this summer. Jarell Quansah, we reported that exclusively on Friday, that Arsenal had held talks with Bayer Leverkusen around the signing of Jarell Quansah, who's a slightly younger profile, 23 years of age, compared to Konsa, who turns 29 in November. It's our understanding that Bayer Leverkusen do not currently consider Jarell Quansah for sale, but the fact is Mikel Arteta says they want to strengthen in this transfer window. When everyone's fit, there's going to be a massive stockpile of centre-backs and right-backs and left-backs.
But isn't that the point? Why would those two go there knowing that when everyone's fit, they're not going to play?
So, in terms of a right-sided centre-back, it means that they could play there, but also they can play at right-back as well, because Ben White has had his injury issues, so has Jurrien Timber as well. And you think the profile of those players, the experience those players have built up, that they'd argue that they could rival both Ben White and Jurrien Timber for that right-back spot. So it makes sense Arsenal signing versatile players. I think if you look at their squad depth and you look at all the options they have at centre-back, all those players can play in every position across the back line, or at least in two positions, apart from Gabriel. But you're not going to dislodge him. He's the best defender in the Premier League right now. So it would make a lot of sense in terms of signing a player who can play in multiple positions. I still think they've got a number of options in that defence. I think they've got the best squad in the Premier League right now. But I think it does show there are probably real concerns around how long William Saliba is missing for. If it was just a few weeks, you'd think they'd get by with the options they have. But clearly, he's going to be missing a few months, it seems.
Miles Lewis-Skelly, talk of him leaving. Surely not.
It doesn't look like that way right now when you consider the way he celebrated his goal in midweek in the last warm-up game they had, and then the assist he laid on for Calafiori in the first 30 seconds yesterday was incredible. It showed incredible vision. He's a player in his first season in the Premier League as a teenager, played on the left-hand side. He played left back for the whole season. Last season wasn't featuring heavily, but then in the back end of the last campaign, when Arsenal were looking to secure that title, it was he rather than Martin Zubimendi who played alongside Declan Rice. I think if Arsenal want to seriously strengthen in this transfer window and go after a big target like Julian Alvarez or even Bradley Barkley, who they hold interest in, then perhaps there may have to be a major sale to be able to do that and also sign another centre-back or right-back. But I think they'd really envy letting go of Miles Lewis-Skelly. The only benefit of selling a player like Miles Lewis-Skelly for big money would be it's pure profit. He's an academy graduate. Yeah. But I think they'd prefer to sell other players in that team, and Miles Lewis-Skelly would be low down that pecking order. The only thing is, Mikel Arteta has been asked about this a number of times. He's never said the player's not for sale. He's never gone out and said that, which he could easily have done. And while Arsenal aren't publicly stating he's not for sale, there will be speculation. But I think you can consider him a massive part of Mikel Arteta's first-team plans, bearing in mind what we've seen over the course of the last few weeks.
Can you see anybody stopping Arsenal this season?
No.
Why are Arsenal fans so pessimistic then?
I don't know. I don't know many of them. No, I know a lot of them. No, look. I think you look at it yesterday. Mikel Arteta said about he felt terrible that he couldn't give a place to Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus, Ethan Nwaneri. That just tells you just how strong Arsenal are looking. If you should have a look.
A couple of players that weren't involved in the Arsenal matchday squad today, Martinelli and Jesus. Do you expect them to leave the club before the window closes?
It's really sad not to have the ability, and I've been fighting with the Premier League to extend and to accommodate more players in the squad, because it's always tough, because they deserve to be in the squad, there's no question. Ethan as well, Marley as well, that has been the whole pre-season with us. So hopefully we can change that rule and players can enjoy on the pitch and being an option to play and contribute to the team as much as possible.
So you still expect them to be part of Arsenal going forward?
Yes, they are all very important for us.
Thank you, Mikel.
Thank you. Look? Yeah, why not? Look at the Solis who they've signed. What a start he's made. That's not a bad start to your left-sided forward, is it? So, Martinelli might be leaving. We know they want potentially another left-sided forward. Gabriel Jesus, who I've just mentioned. Kai Havertz has done ever so well, hasn't he, over the last few years for Mikel Arteta. Victor Gyökeres, Will he be stronger in the second season? Saka and Madueke, don't need to say anything about them. That midfield, you bring Bruno in there. I saw a picture of Bruno and next to Declan Rice earlier with them Community Shield medals. That is formidable. That is a formidable two in that midfield. And the defence, we were saying in the transfer show at 4 o'clock about being potentially a bit light. I don't know. If they do bring in another defender, I think they look incredibly stocked. And Calafiore, Hincapié was a great signing last year. And what he does so well, Mikel Arteta, every defender can play in a couple of positions, So David Raya's been one of the best goalkeepers over the last few years. What can you say, Mike? They look very well stocked.
They do look stocked. Dowman got us all excited last season. Looking at that squad, he's not going to play, is he?
I'm sure he will.
I think he'll get opportunities this season. Yeah. Arsenal had 63 matches in all competitions last year. I think Ethan Nwaneri may struggle for minutes. There's been interest from clubs in signing him across Europe. One thing I will say is Arsenal have been looking for a left winger for a number of years, as far back as when they tried to sign Mykhailo Mudryk. He went to Chelsea in the end. But I think Christos Solis has really surprised people this season. Last season, in all competitions, 50 goal contributions in 50 matches. Clearly that was in the Belgian Pro League. But already we saw his impact yesterday. 2 assists. He's had a really good pre-season. We know Arsenal were looking at Vinicius Junior, but I wonder if they look now and think, he's our man on the left-hand side of the pitch. Do we really need to invest in a left winger, or this season do we give Solis a run of games on the left-hand side with Martinelli there?
Going forward and back, doesn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I think he looks like a real find. For £30 million, I think that could be one of the best signings of this transfer window.
Arsenal's defensive plans are heating up, with Jarell Quansah emerging as a major target amid the club's need for extra centre-back depth. Reports indicate that Arsenal have opened negotiations with Bayer Leverkusen, although Leverkusen are reluctant to sell the England international after just 1 season. Ezri Konsa remains another key name on Arsenal's radar. The Gunners have renewed discussions over the Aston Villa defender, but Villa's reported valuation of around £60 million is proving to be a major hurdle. Arsenal previously had a proposal rejected, so the next stage of negotiations could be crucial if Arteta wants to bring the experienced Premier League defender to the Emirates. The biggest question may now be what happens to Gabriel Martinelli. The Brazilian winger has attracted interest from Galatasaray, with a bid of around £38 million reported, but Martinelli has reportedly rejected a move to Turkey and wants to remain at Arsenal. His omission from the Community Shield squad has nevertheless fueled further speculation about his place in Arteta's plans. This creates an intriguing situation for Arsenal. Arteta is trying to strengthen a squad that already has impressive depth, while injuries to William Saliba and Jurrien Timber have increased the urgency for defensive reinforcements. Quansah and Konsa could provide valuable options, but Arsenal must also manage a crowded squad and decide which players remain central to the project. Could Arsenal complete a major defensive signing while Martinelli fights for his Arsenal future? With Quansah negotiations underway, Konsa talks continuing and transfer decisions still being made, the final stages of the window could be dramatic. Which defender should Arteta sign, Quansah or Konsa? And should Martinelli stay?